Welcome everyone to this lovely space. Thank you for joining in this celebration of Lia's life. Your presence here today means as much as a touch or a hug or words of condolence. For the next while, we will share in the way Lia wanted with some of her favorite people and some of her favorite music. Lia planned many aspects of this day. She said she understood we were sad, but didn't want us to be too sad. She would be happy to see so much color in what we're wearing and all the beautiful flowers. And she would be delighted that her music teacher, Sabina Hess, and her friend, Zonya Radsun, are here to perform. For anyone who doesn't know me, I am Lia's Aunt Jo, Tante Jo, only she called me Joseph. She had nicknames for many people. Another aunt she called Tenda and Mitten. And then there's Shmoo and Ola and Ops. You know who you are. Lia was born Natalia Kathleen Verdebeck in 1994 in Berlin, and she grew up in Oxford, but in a multilingual, transnational family spanning Germany, the UK, and the USA. Her parents are Steve and Astrid Verdebeck from Chicago and Berlin, who have lived now for 9 years in Göttingen. Her grandfather is Reinhard Graefe from Berlin, who also resides in Göttingen. His brother is Nico Verdebeck, who recently moved to Switzerland for university studies at ETH Zurich. Lia and Nico, in typical sister and brother fashion, had somewhat of a cats and dogs relationship. However, when either was away from home or for a length of time, they really and truly missed each other and said so. They both enjoyed music and reading, but not the same types of songs and books. What they did have in common, they shared a love of England, travel, and the television series Friends. As a child, Lia attended the European school outside Oxford, spent 1 year at a Grundschule in Berlin, and went to Georg Christoph Lichtenberg Integrierte Gesamtschule. I understand I could have just said EGS, but Steve and Astrid requested I say it in German to see how I did it. Passionate about music, Lia played the clarinet in the Göttingen Youth Orchestra and performed in various recorder ensembles. She loved acrobatics like unicycles and Runrad or gym wheel. She played a good game of frisbee, an activity she enjoyed with her father. She was full of energy, wanted to attend university, become a teacher, and have a relationship and children. This is how she imagined her life. She finished her Abi in 2014 and was just about to start her studies in Freiburg when she was diagnosed with cancer. All her plans came crashing down, yet she somehow remained engaged and persevering. Since early childhood, Lia and her family had always traveled a great deal, all around Europe, Turkey, and Canada, and to visit relations in Chicago and Denver. Even after starting a grueling regimen of cancer therapies, she had a strong desire to travel, experience other places, people, cultures, and histories. She and her family managed to do this until her last months. Once she realized her time was limited, she did not waste time. Whenever she felt physically fit enough, she tried to pack the day full of activities and action. Rowing at the lake, playing mini golf, going to restaurants, day trips to places like the Harz Mountains. She rode a camel in a circus and enjoyed having monkeys on her head at a wild animal park. She took a scenic helicopter ride over Göttingen and a cruise to Russia. She had pen pals from India, Vietnam, and Korea. As family friend Mary said in a card to Astrid, Steve, and Nico, "It's so sad, but you all did so wonderfully to make Lia's last year such a positive, happy one, and she did so well to enjoy so much of it, to bring us all such fun and happy memories." More admiration is due Lia because, despite the pain and disease, she rarely showed her downtimes and cared so deeply for her family. She constantly worried about making them sad. She was incredibly brave while seeing and feeling her body fall apart. No matter the weather, Lia stuck to daily walks with her family and Sunday walks with Opa, her grandfather. And her doctors seemed amazed and surprised at her positive spirit, how she kept living, still fighting. Lia's disease impacted home life. Astrid and Steve reorganized priorities and did what parents do in their labors of love when a daughter is so ill. Nico really stepped up, dropped everything in response to emergencies, helped care for his sister, made her laugh, and curtailed or delayed his own activities in order to accommodate the family's unique situation. And what's more, Nico did all this and graduated with top honors, achieving the highest grades of all time and dimension in the history of mankind. No, really. Lia's enforced homestay was spent creatively. With passion, she poured herself into music and art, continuing with recorder lessons and playing songs with her mother and others until her breath became too weak. Lia designed and made beads and beaded jewelry, dream catchers, and key rings. She gave away much of her art, gifts cherished by recipients. She painted and crocheted. She was a master of paper art. Her beautifully decoupaged chairs were accepted for sale at a cafe on Rote Strasse, and one is still there, available for purchase. Her wish to be a teacher, alongside her interest in other people and cultures, came together as she embraced the opportunity to teach German to Afghan refugees since 2015. Her students indeed became good friends. One student, Mina, texted photos of her baby to Lia less than an hour after he was born, showing well that Lia was high on the priority list of people close to Mina. She loved having visitors. Many came from Berlin and Dresden and the UK and the US. Aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends. Many have made the trip to be here today. Several have offered to share their remembrances of Lia, and we start with the family's old friend, Chris from Wales.
I've known and loved Lia since she was a young toddler. She was about this big, I think. It was when Steve and Astrid lived in Oxford, and I would stop over on my way back home from working in Southampton. With a young family to raise, my visits were an ideal opportunity for Steve and Astrid to grab some quality time. And I'd get the delightful job of looking after Lia as babysitter-in-chief. And we would have great fun, lively conversations. Lia always loved action and activity, right to the very end, as we've already heard. Climbing, zip wiring, canoeing were her kind of thing. And water, water and more water, pool, lake, sea, ocean, that was her thing. Her love of games, the buzz of competition, and she was very good at them, as those of us who've played with her really do know. This love of games did not diminish in later days, and I have to say, neither did her ability to win them. I was nearly always the loser. As ever, the banter and conversation continued to be a delight. Straightforward, no frills, no nonsense. Lia always knew her mind and her stance on life. For me, her finest qualities were her curiosity and her courage. A shaved head and pain were no barrier to her love of life. Pedalling and laughing with her on a Draisine rail cycle, taking a ski lift to the top of a track, and travelling at speed on a wheeled toboggan all the way down, giggling, laughing. That was Lia. Always ready to take on the world and take on a challenge. Her solo visit to Canada to go to school there and learn French, away from family and friends for at least a year. More recently, her wonderful work teaching German to a number of newly arrived refugees, learners who have become friends. Her What Happens to Death and After Death book, a curiosity in my world, and a rare image of Lia and what her world was about. Along with many others, she asked me to write what I thought about death and what happened after death. I had to tell her I really didn't know. She will be able to tell us better right now, I guess. And she would definitely read all of those stories that people wrote in her book and consider them with great gusto. Her ability and willingness to face death in my world make her a warrior. Towards the end, she tells us, "It seems you can't get rid of me that easily." Anyway, I'm trying to say that if I do go earlier and die earlier, it will make me happy. And I don't want you to be too sad. And that's a message for us today, I think, because, as she says, it's what I really want. Taking on life and death with eyes wide open and embracing the adventure, the journey, whatever its twists and turns, that was her forte. And best of all, and the measure of her impact on the world and the people she touched, was being surrounded by people who love her. Friends and family, and in particular, Steve and Astrid and Nico, who dedicated themselves to making her life as much fun, as cared for, as loved, and as happy as possible in the circumstances. I have wonderful and treasured memory of Lia as a warrior, a super person, a friend, a fellow traveller, and I'm missing her already. And we used to have a little thing together, and it's my parting gift for Lia.
Lia being incredibly practical and down to earth about things that we wouldn't have dared to talk about. She went around the graveyard a few months ago, pointing out what she did and didn't want for herself when the time came. So she pointed out a particularly ghastly decoration on a headstone and said, "That's horrible, I don't want anything like that." And then she pointed out a rather modest gravestone and said, "That's too small, I want something much bigger." Lia's response to presents, I remember, no matter how small and silly, like several other people, we sent her last Christmas some emoji cushions. And the photos of Lia opening those cushions are absolutely joyous. She's beaming and waving her arms around as if we'd given her the crown jewels. I remember Lia's ability to engage other people. I once saw her teaching Amir, one of the refugees. I didn't understand a word, of course, because she was talking German, but she was utterly animated and completely focused on him and what he needed to learn. It was immediately obvious to me what a great teacher she was. When we came to visit, even when Lia was in hospital, it never felt like visiting a sick person. There was always so much to do. Lia entertained us, made us laugh, set us mental challenges, involved us in creative projects, and absolutely thrashed us at board games, as other people have mentioned. There was little time to think about illness, and I always felt she gave us much more than we gave her. Lia, we will miss you so much, but we promise to go on enjoying all the tiny, beautiful, funny, intriguing, awesome, colourful, cute, and ridiculous things that made your life worth living.
Hello, my name's Phil, and I met Lia when she was a little child in Oxford, and I'm about to change my glasses because I'm middle-aged. She would be very compassionate about that. Sarah's focused on the Lia of small things. I want to say something about Lia and the big things, as in many ways Lia was a colossus. I think Lia was one of the most courageous people I have ever met. She faced her illness with great stoicism, and despite her physical limitations, she tried to live life to the full and squeezed every possible drop out of life. Lia loved life, and her energy, vivacity, and enthusiasm were infectious. Her sense of fun, smile, and sparkling eyes were such engaging characteristics. Lia was a prodigiously talented artist across so many genres. When I think about Lia, I associate her with colour. It was as if Lia was a transmitter of colour, and what she created at every stage of her artistic development evoked happiness, joy, and a wow factor, bringing colour into our lives. Lia asked us what we thought would happen after death. Like Chris, I said I wasn't sure, but what I did know is that we are built out of stardust to which we will return. I think Lia quite liked the idea that one day she might contribute to the colours that make up the cosmic display of stars, the aurora borealis, and rainbows. Lia was also remarkable because she was a catalyst who brought people together. She loved people, and in her illness, she created a network and community of people who perhaps interacted for the first time or interacted in deeper ways, resulting in stronger bonds between us. Friends from the UK, friends from Göttingen, Berlin, and America, young, old, middle-aged, with Lia bringing us all together. These special bonds will continue. Lia was a great altruist and thought beyond herself by sharing experiences of her illness with people in similar circumstances, now and in the future. I think her reflections online on Facebook highlight Lia's tremendous humanity, care and concern for other people she never knew. The fund that's been established in Lia's name will be Lia's public legacy, and she deserves great praise for setting it up to fund research which will benefit others. Lia was very competitive, so for her sake, we must hit the target. Lia was a beautiful, open, honest and brave person who faced unimaginable challenges at such a young age and did so with great integrity and humanity. Lia had such a great impact on all of us in small and big ways. Like a seal on hot wax, Lia has made a very special imprint on all our lives, and this will always remain with us. When I see a resplendent rainbow, the dancing aurora borealis and shooting stars, I will remember Lia.
A word about Leah's love for learning. 5 years ago, Lia spent a year as an exchange student at a French-speaking school in Montreal. She showed amazing courage and fortitude to go off and do this by herself at age 17. Extremely studious and always at the top of her class, Lia excelled at her studies, even in an entirely French-speaking environment. This studiousness also went together with a fierce competitiveness. I have to say it too. As anyone knows who has ever played a board game with Lia, it seemed that no matter what the game, no matter who was playing it, it was just a matter of time before Lia won, and by a lot. She played games almost to the end. 2 days before she passed, Lia sent a carefully crafted message to family and friends saying that she wanted to die, that she hoped we wouldn't be too sad when she died, knowing that she wished for death. The next day, a family member living in Rome with a Catholic order of monks, a man whom she'd never met, emailed the following letter to Lia, and it might sum up how a lot of us feel. Dear Lia, you've probably never heard of me, but I'm your dad's cousin, Aunt Patsy's son. My mom shared your last message with me, and I simply wanted to write and thank you. You may be unaware of what a beautiful gift your life has been, how much and how widespread your influence has been. For months, my mom has been telling me about you and your teaching German to refugees. Your communications with my mom and others have really been a gift. I hope and pray you won't have to be miserable through this ordeal, but I also wanted you to know that even, or especially through your misery, you have been a tremendous gift to others. I realize that we're all different in our beliefs about where we're coming from and where we ultimately are going, but we'll only really know what awaits us when we get to the other side. I hope and pray that we'll meet one another on the other side. The first thing I'll do is give you a big hug, and then we'll have all the time in the world, and then some, to get to know one another, what we've lived through, our struggles and good experiences. But already now, I wanted to let you know that you have been a gift for me. Wishing and praying for all the best for you. Your second cousin, Bill. Lia is a gift. We are glad she lived, glad we saw her smiling face, and know her charming wit. We treasure her art and cherish the memories of her words, her music, her character, her honesty. We honor Lia's life by living ourselves more honestly, frugally, with less attention paid to unimportant matters and more focus on simple fellowship and pure joy. Let's leave here happy and uplifted for having known Lia and inspired by her life, which began on the month and day 8/8 and ended on 9/9 at the age of 22. Did she do that on purpose? She always did like number play. We will close this celebration with a favorite song of Leah's, Bambaleo by the Gypsy Kings. But first, as Cousin Bill said in his letter to Leah, we all have different beliefs about what happens at the end. That said, here is a universal prayer. God, grant us to see how short life is here on earth and how close to your eternity we live. Make us ready to take our leave when the time for us comes, whether it comes soon or later. We mourn Leah, who left us so soon. Thank you for the years we had her among us. Amen. Astrid, Steve, Nico, Reinhardt, and the wider family, thank you for coming and wish you a beautiful day and safe travels.